Welcome to English Excellence Mastery, the distinguished podcast for advanced English learners pursuing exceptional fluency through intellectually stimulating narratives that explore cutting-edge innovation, organizational transformation, and strategic excellence in contemporary global contexts. I'm your host, Professor Margaret Thompson, and today we're examining 3 extraordinary stories that demonstrate how visionary professionals navigate unprecedented challenges while pioneering solutions that reshape entire industries and societal paradigms. This episode, Innovation and Transformation Excellence, investigates how exceptional leaders synthesize technological expertise, organizational psychology, and strategic foresight to create sustainable innovations that transcend traditional boundaries between disciplines, markets, and cultural contexts. Each narrative has been carefully constructed to challenge B2 and C1 level learners with sophisticated lexical choices, complex syntactic patterns, and nuanced conceptual frameworks that mirror the communication demands of elite professional environments. Today's explorations will immerse you in the specialized discourse of financial technology disruption, educational innovation leadership, and urban sustainability transformation. You'll encounter advanced modal constructions, sophisticated reported speech patterns, complex participial structures, and the kind of analytical precision that characterizes expert-level communication in academic, consulting, and executive contexts. We'll meet Dr. Sarah Kim, a fintech innovator whose blockchain-based financial inclusion platform democratizes banking access for underserved populations while navigating regulatory complexity and scalability challenges. We'll follow Professor David Martinez, an educational transformation specialist whose adaptive learning ecosystem revolutionizes higher education delivery through personalized pedagogy and competency-based assessment frameworks. Finally, we'll observe Dr. Elena Petrov, an urban sustainability architect whose integrated smart city initiatives optimize resource utilization while enhancing quality of life through data-driven environmental management. Each narrative incorporates sophisticated professional dynamics that require you to decode implicit organizational relationships, understand complex regulatory environments, and appreciate the strategic considerations that inform decision-making in rapidly evolving technological and social landscapes. These analytical competencies prove indispensable for excelling in graduate research, contributing substantively to policy discussions, and establishing thought leadership in competitive international markets. Dr. Sarah Kim had established herself as a leading researcher in financial technology when she recognized that traditional banking systems were systematically excluding approximately 1.7 billion people worldwide from accessing basic financial services, perpetuating cycles of poverty and limiting economic mobility in developing regions. Her revolutionary blockchain-based platform would ultimately challenge fundamental assumptions about financial infrastructure while navigating the complex intersection of technological innovation, regulatory compliance, and social impact measurement. The inspiration for Sarah's transformative approach emerged from her field research in rural Kenya, where she observed that despite widespread mobile phone adoption, existing digital payment systems required bank account connections that remained inaccessible to populations lacking formal identification, stable addresses, or minimum deposit requirements that banks imposed to ensure profitability. Sarah's breakthrough insight involved recognizing that blockchain technology could enable the creation of decentralized financial networks that operated independently of traditional banking infrastructure while providing the security, transparency, and scalability necessary for serving large populations in resource-constrained environments. Her platform architecture leveraged distributed ledger technology to create digital identity frameworks that could verify user credentials through biometric authentication, community validation, and transaction history analysis rather than relying on conventional documentation that many unbanked populations couldn't obtain or maintain. The financial services ecosystem she envisioned would provide not merely digital payment capabilities, but comprehensive financial inclusion tools, micro savings accounts with competitive interest rates, peer-to-peer lending networks that utilized social capital for credit assessment, insurance products tailored to informal economy workers, and financial literacy programs delivered through gamified mobile applications. Implementation challenges proved multifaceted and technically demanding. Sarah's team had to develop blockchain protocols that could function efficiently on low-end smartphones with intermittent internet connectivity, while ensuring transaction processing speeds that could support daily commerce in cash-intensive economies. Regulatory navigation required unprecedented coordination across multiple jurisdictions, with varying financial services laws, data protection requirements, and blockchain governance frameworks. Sarah engaged with central banks, financial regulators, and international development organizations to establish compliance pathways that would enable legal operation while preserving the decentralized characteristics essential to her platform's value proposition. The social impact measurement component demanded sophisticated methodologies for assessing financial inclusion effectiveness beyond traditional metrics like transaction volume or user adoption rates. Sarah collaborated with academic researchers to develop evaluation frameworks that could capture improvements in economic resilience, household stability, and long-term wealth accumulation among platform users. Cultural adaptation emerged as equally critical as technical development. Sarah's team conducted extensive ethnographic research to understand how different communities conceptualized financial relationships, risk management, and technology adoption, ensuring that her platform's user interface and service delivery models aligned with local practices and preferences. The pilot implementation in 3 countries, Kenya, Bangladesh, and Peru, demonstrated remarkable validation of Sarah's approach. Within 18 months, the platform had facilitated over $50 million in transactions, enabled 250,000 previously unbanked individuals to access financial services, and achieved a 94% user retention rate that indicated genuine utility rather than merely novelty-driven adoption. Independent impact assessments revealed that platform users experienced 23% higher income stability, 31% increased savings rates, and 18% greater investment in education and healthcare compared to control groups in similar communities without access to Sarah's financial inclusion tools. The success attracted attention from major international development organizations, leading to partnerships with the World Bank, Gates Foundation, and United Nations Capital Development Fund that would enable platform scaling across 20 additional countries over the subsequent 3 years. Sarah's innovation influenced global policy discussions about financial inclusion strategies and demonstrated how technological disruption could serve social development objectives when designed with sophisticated understanding of local contexts, regulatory requirements, and community needs. Her transformation from academic researcher to social entrepreneur illustrated how advanced technical expertise could be leveraged to address systemic inequalities when combined with interdisciplinary collaboration, cultural sensitivity, and commitment to sustainable impact measurement. The platform's success established new paradigms for technology-enabled development that prioritized community empowerment over external dependency, demonstrating that financial inclusion could be achieved through decentralized innovations that strengthened rather than bypassed local economic ecosystems. Key vocabulary and expressions: systematically excluding, deliberately keeping out through organized processes, perpetuating cycles, continuing patterns that keep problems going, economic mobility, ability to improve one's financial situation, decentralized financial networks, banking systems not controlled by single institutions, resource-constrained environments, places with limited money, technology, or infrastructure, distributed ledger technology, blockchain systems that spread information across multiple computers, biometric authentication, using physical characteristics like fingerprints for identity verification, unbanked populations, people without access to traditional banking services, peer-to-peer lending, Individuals lending money directly to each other. Social capital. Relationships and networks that provide economic value. Gamified mobile applications. Apps that use game-like features to engage users. Intermittent internet connectivity. Irregular or unreliable internet access. Cash-intensive economies. Societies where most transactions use physical money. Unprecedented coordination. Cooperation never achieved before. Value proposition. Benefits offered by a product or service. Ethnographic research. Studying how people live and behave in their communities. User retention rate. Percentage of people who continue using a service over time. Professor David Martinez had spent 15 years researching pedagogical innovation when the convergence of artificial intelligence capabilities, neuroscience insights, and evolving workforce demands created an unprecedented opportunity to fundamentally redesign higher education delivery through personalized learning architectures that could adapt in real time to individual cognitive patterns, learning preferences, and career trajectory goals. The catalyst for David's transformative vision emerged from his analysis of traditional university education's persistent inefficiencies. Standardized curricula that ignored cognitive diversity, assessment methods that prioritized memorization over critical thinking, and institutional structures that remained largely unchanged despite dramatic shifts in knowledge creation, information accessibility, and professional skill requirements. David's revolutionary approach involved developing an adaptive learning ecosystem that combined AI-powered content curation, neuroscience-informed pedagogical strategies, and competency-based progression frameworks to create individualized educational experiences that could optimize learning outcomes while reducing time to competency for diverse student populations. The technological infrastructure leveraged machine learning algorithms that analyzed student engagement patterns, comprehension rates, and knowledge retention metrics to dynamically adjust content difficulty, presentation modalities, and pacing schedules. This personalization extended beyond simple content recommendation to include learning pathway optimization that considered individual career goals, cognitive strengths, and preferred learning styles. The pedagogical framework incorporated insights from cognitive neuroscience about how different brains process information, enabling the system to present concepts through multiple sensory channels, vary repetition intervals based on individual memory consolidation patterns, and provide targeted interventions when learning obstacles were detected through behavioral analytics. Assessment transformation represented perhaps the most radical departure from traditional academic models. David's system replaced standardized examinations with continuous competency demonstration through project-based evaluations, peer assessment protocols, and real-world application scenarios that measured practical skill development rather than theoretical knowledge recall. Implementation required unprecedented collaboration between technologists, neuroscientists, subject matter experts, and institutional administrators who had to reconcile innovative approaches with accreditation requirements, faculty training needs, and student expectation management in environments resistant to educational disruption. Cultural change management proved as challenging as technical development. David navigated faculty concerns about technology replacing human instruction, student anxiety about unfamiliar learning formats, and administrative resistance to assessment methods that complicated traditional grading and transcript systems.
The pilot program at 3 universities demonstrated extraordinary effectiveness across diverse student populations. Participants achieved learning objectives 34% faster than traditional students, demonstrated 28% higher knowledge retention rates 6 months post-graduation, and reported 41% greater satisfaction with their educational experience. Particularly significant were outcome improvements among traditionally underperforming student demographics. First-generation college students, non-native English speakers, and students with learning differences showed disproportionate benefits from personalized learning approaches that accommodated their specific needs and challenged deficit-based assumptions about academic potential. Employer feedback revealed that graduates from David's adaptive learning programs demonstrated superior problem-solving abilities, faster skill acquisition rates, and better adaptability to changing workplace requirements compared to traditional program graduates, validating the system's focus on competency development over content consumption. The success attracted interest from educational technology companies, prompting David to establish a social enterprise that could scale his innovations while preserving their pedagogical integrity and accessibility for diverse institutional contexts and student populations. David's transformation of higher education influenced policy discussions about educational accreditation, competency-based credentials, and the role of artificial intelligence in learning environments, establishing new frameworks for evaluating educational effectiveness and student achievement. His work demonstrated that educational innovation could simultaneously improve learning outcomes and increase access when designed with sophisticated understanding of cognitive diversity, technological capabilities, and institutional change management requirements.
Key vocabulary and expressions. Pedagogical innovation. New methods and approaches to teaching. Cognitive patterns. Ways individual brains process information. Learning preferences. How different people learn best. Career trajectory goals. Planned professional development paths. Cognitive diversity. Differences in how people think and process information. Knowledge creation. Process of developing new understanding and insights. Information accessibility. Ease of finding and using information. Adaptive learning ecosystem, educational environment that changes based on individual needs. Content curation, selecting and organizing learning materials. Competency-based progression, advancing based on demonstrated skills rather than time spent. Learning pathway optimization, finding the best route for each person to learn. Sensory channels, different ways information enters the brain, visual, auditory, etc. Memory consolidation patterns, how individual brains store and organize information. Behavioral analytics, studying how people act to understand their learning. Continuous competency demonstration, ongoing proof of skills rather than one-time tests. Accreditation requirements, official standards educational institutions must meet. Deficit-based assumptions, negative beliefs about student abilities. Social enterprise, business designed to solve social problems while making money. Dr. Elena Petrov had dedicated 12 years to urban planning research when she recognized that cities worldwide were failing to address the interconnected challenges of resource depletion, environmental degradation, and quality of life deterioration through fragmented approaches that treated transportation, energy, waste management, and social services as isolated systems rather than integrated components of urban ecosystems, requiring holistic optimization strategies. Elena's revolutionary smart city framework synthesized Internet of Things technologies, predictive analytics, and participatory governance models to create adaptive urban management systems that could optimize resource utilization while enhancing livability through data-driven decision-making processes that prioritized both environmental sustainability and social equity.
The conceptual breakthrough involved recognizing that urban sustainability required simultaneously addressing infrastructure efficiency, environmental impact, and social outcomes through integrated systems that could adapt dynamically to changing conditions while maintaining democratic accountability and community involvement in city management decisions. Her technological architecture incorporated sensor networks that monitored air quality, traffic patterns, energy consumption, waste generation, and public space utilization in real time, feeding data into machine learning algorithms that could predict usage patterns, identify optimization opportunities, and recommend policy interventions to improve urban performance across multiple dimensions. The governance innovation involved developing digital platforms that enabled continuous citizen engagement in urban planning decisions through participatory budgeting processes, real-time feedback mechanisms, and collaborative problem-solving initiatives that leveraged collective intelligence while maintaining transparent decision-making processes. Environmental optimization focused on creating circular resource flows within urban systems, wastewater treatment facilities that generated renewable energy, urban agriculture networks that utilized organic waste for food production, and transportation systems that reduced emissions while improving accessibility for all socioeconomic groups. Implementation challenges required coordination across multiple city departments, technology vendors, and community organizations while navigating complex procurement processes, data privacy regulations, and political dynamics that often resisted technological innovation or citizen empowerment initiatives. The pilot implementation in Barcelona demonstrated remarkable effectiveness across sustainability metrics. Energy consumption decreased by 22%, waste diversion from landfills increased by 31%, air quality improved by 18%, and citizen satisfaction with city services increased by 29% while reducing municipal operating costs by 12%. The success influenced global urban policy discussions and established Elena as a leading expert in smart city development, leading to consulting opportunities with cities across 5 continents seeking to implement similar integrated sustainability approaches. Elena's work demonstrated that urban sustainability could be achieved through technological innovation when combined with participatory governance and systems thinking that addressed interconnected challenges through holistic rather than fragmented approaches.
Key vocabulary and expressions. Resource depletion, using up natural materials faster than they can be replaced. Environmental degradation, damage to the natural environment. Quality of life deterioration, worsening living conditions. Fragmented approaches, dealing with problems separately instead of together. Holistic optimization, improving whole systems rather than individual parts. Internet of Things technologies, everyday objects connected to the Internet. Predictive analytics, using data to forecast future trends. Participatory governance, involving citizens in government decisions. Data-driven decision-making, using information and statistics to choose actions. Democratic accountability, responsibility to citizens in a democracy. Sensor networks, systems of devices that collect information about the environment. Machine learning algorithms, computer programs that improve through experience. Collective intelligence, wisdom that emerges from group collaboration. Circular resource flows, systems where waste from one process becomes input for another. Socioeconomic groups, people with similar income and education levels. Procurement processes, official procedures for buying goods and services. Data privacy regulations, laws protecting personal information. Municipal operating costs, money cities spend to provide services. Today's narratives have exemplified the sophisticated analytical and communication competencies required for driving transformative innovation in complex global environments. Through Sarah's financial inclusion revolution, David's educational transformation architecture, and Elena's urban sustainability vision, we've explored how exceptional professionals integrate technological expertise with systems thinking, cultural intelligence, and stakeholder management to create solutions that transcend traditional disciplinary and organizational boundaries. These stories demonstrate the advanced linguistic proficiency necessary for operating effectively in elite international contexts, where nuanced communication, strategic thinking, and cultural sensitivity determine professional impact and influence. Each narrative employed sophisticated vocabulary that enables precise articulation of complex concepts, advanced grammatical structures that accommodate multiple perspectives and conditional scenarios, and the kind of analytical discourse essential for thought leadership. The linguistic sophistication evident throughout these stories reflects the communication demands facing leaders who must synthesize technical innovation with social impact, navigate regulatory complexity while maintaining operational efficiency, and balance stakeholder interests while pursuing transformative objectives that require long-term vision and strategic patience. For continued advancement toward mastery-level proficiency, focus on analyzing how advanced English enables nuanced discussion of innovation frameworks and transformation strategies. Practice articulating complex technological and social challenges using sophisticated analytical vocabulary, and develop sensitivity to the cultural and regulatory contexts that inform strategic decision-making in global innovation environments. These narratives remind us that professional excellence at the highest levels requires not only technical expertise, but also sophisticated communication abilities that enable collaborative innovation, stakeholder alignment, and the kind of strategic thinking that addresses complex challenges through sustainable, scalable, and socially beneficial solutions. Thank you for joining English Excellence Mastery. Continue developing your advanced communication capabilities through engagement with complex innovation challenges that prepare you for leadership roles in our rapidly evolving global economy.